Happy Tuesday, everybody, and let's, without further ado, get down to business. Look, let's face it, the Cavalier difficulty has changed. But here's the thing, different perspectives from different players at different levels of the game depending on various different things. Skill, roster strength, availability, and scope. These are all fundamentals that are important about what is and what has changed about the Cavalier difficulty. For me, I'm able to complete this within 1 week, and that's by doing one particular mission a day or one quest a day, whatever you want to describe it as. And that's good. That's a lot better than it took 3 weeks prior when this first event was launched back in September, I want to say. It's important for me because Marvel Contest Champions isn't my main game. So having this content be able to be smashed out in a little bit of a shorter time frame is very, very important to me, but it may not be for various other people who want more of a challenge. But then we're going to get into why there's been some changes, and also we've got to look at if the difficulty were still to remain as it were back in September, then rewards have to go up. Now for me personally, I look forward to the Cavalier difficulty each month for lots of these weird, kooky and unique interactions. In particular, anytime that there's an improvement to the prowess building for Mystics, I use my Scarlet Witch. I love using my 5-star Scarlet Witch in Cavalier difficulty every month it comes out. Since, say, November time, November, December and January, these 3 months have been the most enjoyable for going and using some very kind of like odd champions. And I like that narrative. It's something that makes me look forward to it for that means. But that, as I said, brings us round to the strength and breadth of a roster. Because let's face it, not everybody has the most ideal champions at the specific rarity and will have to then opt for doing 4 stars, because there are going to be the tippity top people up at the throne breaker. There's going to be the people that have just got themselves Cavalier as a title. So where people are at, to where Kabam balances content, has always been and will continue to be a problem as to how this is fair for those that want a challenge right at the top and those that are just coming into Cavalier, just cultivating a roster and just trying to get this content 100% once a month, and is literally taking them the entirety of the month and in some cases using 4 stars to do it. Now, funnily enough, I was just preparing a video on some most ideal champions to counter various different nodes that Kabam put into the Cavalier difficulty content, and it's just one of these things where they just go, yeah, no, we're gonna like make sure we monitor this, saying we want to make sure that even if you don't have the best counter to the global buffs, you can still make your way through the quest. We haven't quite hit the mark on that one, and we'll continue to work towards the goal in 2021. With that in mind, we do intend to make the fights easier with large attack rating boosts or impactful utility sets if you bring the intended champions throughout 2021. Expect a move away from buffs like buffed up distract and a move to less limiting challenges. I don't know, personally, I actually didn't mind them. I really didn't. Just setting up wisely. Yeah, like Beardo with a load of different types of classes on the team is going to be great for this track. There's going to be buffed up. Well, that's a lot of cosmic champions. They pretty much give us like the decency from having the aptitude, which exists as a buff. So yeah, I don't know. I'm pretty much chill with this one, and I could literally get on each month with how it was set up. But look, if they want to change it, then they want to change it. Is this something that could be down the line that they would work towards something of a throne breaker difficulty? Maybe, but would we be in the same scenario as this where they've got to then tone it down in order to get everybody? That's the lower end of throne breaker. And will we have the same thing with Cavalier as we had with back along, where there was the low end of Cavalier, the top end of Cavalier? And if you're not familiar with what I'm talking about, it's basically the scenario here. I'm Thronebreaker, but I'm not really the top end of Thronebreaker. I'm literally the lower end of Thronebreaker if you talk about the narrative of volume of 6-star champions, the scope of which, and those that are rank 3 as 6 stars. So again, it can fall into the same thing, the same problem as you had with Cavaliers. There will always be the top end and the bottom end, and those that are trying to cultivate a roster, cultivate the ranks of them and rarities, and trying to smash through this content. So what are Kabam actually changing? Well, they're just changing a load of stuff because I don't know why. I really don't know why. If you're looking at it this way, it's like Why do you need to fix that is not broken? Because that's the thing. It's not. There's nothing wrong with it. Cavalier Difficulty is actually. I actually enjoy Cavalier Difficulty. It takes me a week. I do like 7 times, maybe like 5 times 1 hour 30 streams on it, and we do like a little bit of time. Am I dropping revives? I don't know. Sometimes like 1, maybe 2. If mistakes are done, if there's like something that I'm not really a big fan of the rotation, then yeah, then maybe 1, 2 more. But it's not something that's ridiculous. Either way, it's a case that it's fine as it is. Adding all these little specific natures of champion buffs, class support buffs. A lot of them kind of don't interwork with one another, but they cancel one another out. If you want to take a poison immune champion like Immortal Abomination, which is a great champion, by the way, and I really want to get it, which is kind of weird because I didn't at the start based on appearance, but I think he's a good champion. Immortal Abomination is poison immune to a degree. Immune based on like it still can have it and stuff, it still interworks into the way that the champion works with damage outputting, poison, whatever, the way that the champion works. But the way that it then inflicts onto the enemy and how that works is another thing that's cancelled out by the way that some of these class support buffs work. But it may be a case you have to reserve judgment until all of these are released. You've got something with skill. I'm not going to read out all of these, but you've got defender has a passive 50% chance to evade all attacks, addition to their any base ability. So yeah, and then you've got the counteract that skill attackers gain an indefinite passive fury, increasing attack rating by 35% each time the defender evade effect is prevented by an ability. So you have to kind of go like, right, well, we'll bring in Nick Fury, but then there's like, well, if you've got skill attackers prevent defenders evade abilities while the defender is suffering from a disorientate, incinerate, or shock effect. So you got to pick a skill champion that's got an incinerate. So it's just like going, right, so am I bringing in... What am I bringing in? I'm bringing in Massacre for this. It's like, right, okay, fine. I mean, it's cool. It shakes up the boundaries of which champions we use and what we take in. But it's like, it's additional thinking that kind of goes against. And it's like, if you had your preset champions now to take into Cavalier Difficulty, you now have to create new preset champions that are good in Cavalier Difficulty. In the interim and in a short term, time investment, it does not help out with time. That's basically it. But yeah, look, let's throw it over to see what other people are thinking and what they're saying in the community about this. There's some good takes on stuff, especially from the fact of like what champions are placed in each particular place. You know, there's loads of different nodes on there, like the champion challenge, these challenge buffs. Which, like, if you look at it, like one being like why 50% chance to evade based on, you know, one of these many different changes here, it can be quite annoying. Again, it makes the fights specific again, and you might have to go like, right, well, I'll take in Nick Fury, I'll take in Venom, I'll take in specific champions to do with specific things with True Strike, and that's gonna be annoying, especially if we've got things like Korg or Doom like on there, or like just if there's another setup as well, it can be just a bit annoying. I just would like to see this in action and go, right, well, this is silly, this is a silly setup, but it could be a case that this is made more you know, doable. The more that I read this, the more that the specific counters are going to be quite important as to what Kabam are putting down champions on nodes. If there's for whatever reason interaction where a champion is healing quite extensively, like if you've got Engineered Fracture versus a champion that's on Nanite Healing, which is every 15 seconds defender passively regenerates, then you'll need a champion that does an armor break in order to counteract that. And it's like, well, there's a load of different champions that do armor breaks, not saying that that's just the thing. And will be a specific nature to go like, okay, well, I'm definitely going to use myself a Warlock with doing an armor break, Iron Man Infinity War, Hulkbuster, and various other large amount of champions. So again, could this be quite specific if it's a case that you are going up against Nanite Healing and definitely would require yourself a tech champion to deal with it. And Mike responds to that particular criticism, saying you don't need to bring an armor break champion. There's also quite a few tech champions that have access to heal block, and the armor break node only extends the benefit of champions that armor break and don't have access to heal block. So I don't know if it's really saying that, look, are we jumping the gun a bit? Is it kind of like a, you have to bring these champions to interact, those kind of things? Yeah, so like, even with like the evade side of things, like Mike says, the idea is to encourage evade counters, and combined with the skillful distraction buff, this gives more skilled champions access to kit necessary to prevent evasions. One of the community does actually kind of bring up the point of saying this is a horrible idea. Let's talk about the number of skilled champions that cause disorientate, incinerate, or shock effects in order to trigger this kind of skillful distraction buff. Disorientate with Fury Knight, Thrasher, with the Synergene, Ronin. Incinerate with Agent Venom, Crossbones, Gwenpool, Winter Soldier, Shock, Blackwood, Deadly Origin, and then Night Thrasher, SP1, Thor, SP3. So yeah, okay, based on only 8 of the 32 skill champions are useful for this buff, only one of the champs can inflict debuffs without having to rely on a special attack. For the last hour of recording this video, I've been reading through a lot of the thread pages and especially getting an idea of feedback. I mean, look, let's face it, we all want to see improvements to the reward side of things, and that's a definite. When it comes to like the changes that Kabam have made to the nodes, or at least proposing to do to the nodes, and do those kind of champion buffs and globals, it is very much the case of going, why did we need this change? And again, like, on what process was it time to refresh this content and not look at, say, some of the other bits of content that, well, escapes the current meta? I mean, look at what Realm of Legends, and as well Road to Labyrinth and Labyrinth of Legends, and yeah, those bits of content. Like, those bits of content are really the ones that would require any kind of great improvement for players at a lower level, especially from a grind side of things. When it comes to like the end game players or kind of people at the top, I guess it's just a case of going, do we really need this right now with the monthly? We're not even 6 months in from the Cavalier Difficulty launching. Cavalier Difficulty launched on September. When it comes to the side event side of things, that dropped a lot earlier in the year, but it's definitely from like the Cavalier Difficulty from a monthly. Like, maybe updating it down the line, maybe even like bumping the rewards and saying, look, we'll deal with this in 6 months time, and put it on the back burner. There's still things like Arena 2.0 and other different things that are in the dev diaries for updating various different things and adding new things to the game. It seems very unusual to work on something that didn't really need to be worked on, especially from what a lot of the players that are giving responses and feedback to in all of these thread pages. In any case, when it comes to the reward side of things, which Kabam said they're not changing, I would love to have seen just a bump more in Tier 2 Alpha, maybe a little bit with Tier 5 Basic, but that's, for me, I'm just overspilling that a lot into Stash, and I'm having to rush forward my rank ups than maybe I wanted to. A lot more 6-star shards, maybe about 2,000 to 3,000. And then 5-star shards, again, maybe a larger chunk on that one as well, for those that have recently become Cavalier. When they do rewards changes, it has to benefit those that have recently become Cavalier, and also those that are Thronebreaker. So they have to kind of like deal with the top and the bottom side of things, and they've got to appease everybody. Not an easy task, by the way, for Kabam to do, but they've got to at least try to do something for Thronebreaker players at this stage, to give them something that they can grab, they can move forward with their rosters, and even just add more to their current 6-star rank 3s, which, let's face it, a lot of them have currently. So there we go, that has been your Thursday video looking at the Cavalier difficulty. I will probably be live streaming on Thursday on this channel. I was going to do it today, but I've got a few things I've got to take care of, and as well those tokens. I think more tokens come in on Wednesday, so it makes more sense just to have a big old grind day on Thursday. So hopefully get to see you there, and also see you all very soon. Much love, and bye-bye.